On March 3, 2022, the St. Lucie County Sheriff responded to a car crash near Jensen Beach, Florida, where an intoxicated woman was believed to be involved. Instead of staying at the scene, she fled, prompting deputies to track her by following her footprints along the beach. Eventually, Deputy Cody Colangelo located the suspect.
Go ahead. Hello. What's going on? Man, stop real quick. Possibly 10-4, the second free gun. What's going on?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Alright. You're just hit. Were you just in a crash? Ma'am, come up here. Don't walk away. No, no walking. Come over here. Okay? Walk upstairs, all right? Let's get out this water area.
I don't wanna. I'm scared.
You're scared? All right, let's walk up here. Let's get out this water, okay? Don't run. Slowly walk.
He spoke with the suspect for about a minute before instructing her to walk back to the road where his vehicle was parked. But after climbing a few steps, she turned around and stabbed Colangelo in the neck, forcing him to open fire and call for help from his fellow deputies.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Come down real quick. Need your help.
With a stab wound through his neck, Colangelo was transported to the hospital and underwent emergency surgery. He was fortunate to survive. Shortly afterward, the suspect was identified as 23-year-old Leah Michelle, who was taken into custody. Michelle stated that she fled and stabbed the officer because she was afraid of going to jail and did not have car insurance. She is now facing charges of first-degree attempted murder and has been sentenced to life in prison. On February 4th, 2021, in New Mexico, Officer Darian Jarrett was assigned to assist Homeland Security investigations in an operation to apprehend Omar Felix Cueva, 39, a fugitive with a history of drug trafficking and violent offenses, as he was en route to Las Cruces for a planned drug transaction. Under a coordinated interagency plan, Jarrett was tasked with initiating a traffic stop and making contact with the suspect on Interstate 10 between Deming and Las Cruces.
Mind if I take it off you for my safety? All right, hold on. All right, let's go to my vehicle, okay? Come on. Oh, shit!
Cueva ignored the command, suddenly lunged out, and Epihu opened fire, striking Officer Jarrett and bringing him down instantly. Not stopping there, he coldly fired several more rounds to ensure there was no life left, then got back in his vehicle and fled. By the time fellow officers arrived, it was already too late. Only a grim and tragic scene remained, awaiting the arrival of backup units.
Hey!
You call 911?
Immediately after receiving news of Jarrett's death, law enforcement launched a high-stakes manhunt for Cueva that stretched over 40 miles. The tense pursuit quickly escalated into a fierce shootout, where the line between life and death blurred with every passing second.
We're good. 48 here shooting out of the vehicle. He just shot at it.
He's still shooting at me.
If you're on Avenida Messiah, please get the markers out.
He's still slumped over towards the right. We're coming to Avenida Messiah.
10-1, you got 935 blocking Conway, Hughes University. Alright. Is he headed in the opposite direction of traffic?
After a hail of gunfire, another officer was injured, but the suspect was ultimately shot and killed at the scene. Thanks to the quick response of his fellow officers, the wounded officer received prompt medical attention and has since recovered. On the other hand, Officer Jarrett's family filed a lawsuit, accusing the authorities of failing to ensure his safety. Following a thorough review, the claim was approved, resulting in a $500,000 settlement, not only for Jarrett's family, but also for others affected by the incident. March 16, 2024. Officer Peter Liu arrived at the apartment complex where Sydney Wilson lived to respond to a welfare check request. At first, when Leo knocked on the door and greeted her politely, Sydney opened it briefly and then quickly closed it. However, when the door opened for the second time, the situation shifted in a completely different direction.
How are you? Oh, Jesus Christ. Back up! Oh, yeah! Back up, back up. Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah! Hey, man. What else are they doing? Please back up. Oh, yeah! Back up! Oh, back up! Back up! Back up!
Things quickly took a turn for the worse when Sydney suddenly swung a knife and slashed an officer in the face. Although Officer Liu repeatedly ordered her to stop, the suspect refused to comply and continued to pose a threat, forcing him to open fire in order to prevent the situation from escalating further. In the end, Sydney was transported to the hospital but did not survive, and was pronounced dead later that same day. Meanwhile, the injured officer was also taken to the hospital for treatment, with injuries that were not life-threatening. Notably, records indicate that Sydney Wilson was a former basketball player at Georgetown University and had a documented history of mental health issues. On September 21, 2020, the Atlanta police received an emergency call about a domestic violence incident between a couple near 510 Casanova Street, SE, Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia. However, when the officers arrived at the scene, the situation quickly became much more complicated and tense.
Y'all know Officer Copeland? He came out here the first time.
Yeah. We getting to what day? Going to your daughter's house.
You reaching for something over there?
I might be.
Say that.
Through the conversation, the wife revealed that her husband was out of control and showing aggressive behavior. As officers approached, they immediately sensed the tension, and rightly so. The man not only refused to cooperate but began rummaging erratically before suddenly pulling out a gun, acting as if he were the victim of some blatant injustice, even though it was clear he was the one pushing the situation to the brink of danger.
Relax, okay?
Okay, it's been loaded, sir.
Bro, relax.
It's been loaded.
Sit down, man. What are you doing? Bro, what the fuck are you doing?
It's not loaded. It's not loaded.
No, we not gonna play these fucking games without guns. So he need to get his shit together.
It's a criminal pass, sir. Hey, man. She gonna leave me.
Miss, can you get out of the way, please?
She gonna leave me.
Despite repeated police orders to surrender, the suspect remained cold and unresponsive. Tension reached a breaking point when he stepped out of the vehicle with a gun in hand. The standoff dragged on for nearly 12 minutes, until one final reckless move sent everything spiraling out of control, ending in an irreversible tragedy.
That taser don't stop me.
Okay.
Taser not gonna stop me. I'm a whole gorilla. I'm a whole gorilla.
Put it down!
Put down the gun!
Put it down!
Yeah, please.
Put it down! Damaso, he grabbing for something. It's not a gun. He got the gun back in his hand. Put it down!
Put the gun down, man!
Put it down!
Put the gun down!
Damaso!
What the fuck is y'all talking about? found the gun.
She's not going no fucking well. And I'm telling you. Come on, put it down. She gonna get put it down. Put it down. Put it down.
As the suspect closed in, the female officer was left with only two choices: his life or her own. Without hesitation, she pulled the trigger to survive. But when a cry rang out after the gunshot, it was perhaps she who felt the deepest regret, carrying a scar not easily erased. Following the fatal shot, police quickly administered first aid and transported 28-year-old Darren Bell to the hospital, but he did not survive. The investigation concluded that the female officer acted out of necessity based on the real level of threat. As a result, she was found to have committed no legal violations and faced no criminal liability. At the Cook County Maximum Security Jail, two senior officers were conducting a routine patrol when they were suddenly ambushed by 3 inmates. Overwhelmed in both numbers and force, the officers managed to escape only after taking a brutal beating. Their colleagues arrived swiftly to regain control of the situation. Both officers were hospitalized. One suffered a fractured eye socket, while the other was knocked unconscious and kept overnight for observation. The attackers, Terrence Lynham, 21, David Bush, 19, and Taiwan McNeil, 20, were originally being held on charges of attempted murder. Now, they face even more serious charges, including attempted murder and aggravated battery causing great bodily harm. They once had a chance at freedom, but through a moment of reckless violence, they sealed their own fate and sank deeper into the prison system. On the afternoon of April 11, 2021, in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, police pulled over 20-year-old Dante Wright for expired license plates. As he was being restrained and realized he was about to be arrested, Wright panicked and lunged back into his car despite being handcuffed. And in that moment, the female officer made a fatal mistake that would define the rest of her life.
You got a warrant.
I'm not doing that.
Don't. You're chasing up, bro. Don't do it.
I'll tease you! I'll tease you! Teaser!
Ah, he shot me.
Oh my shit! I just shot him.
Didn't hit you.
Yes! I grabbed the wrong fucking gun! I shot him! Oh my god!
Instead of drawing her taser as warned, Officer Kim Potter mistakenly pulled out her handgun and shot Dante Wright in the chest. Though seriously wounded, Wright tried to drive away, but soon crashed into another vehicle and died at the scene. The tragedy not only ended the life of a young man, but also brought an abrupt end to Potter's law enforcement career. She was later sentenced to 2 years in prison for second-degree manslaughter. Meanwhile, the city of Brooklyn Center was ordered to pay $350,000 in compensation to Wright's girlfriend for the physical and emotional trauma she endured. On January 2, 2023, in Georgia, state troopers teamed up with the East Point Police Department to pursue 19-year-old Matthew Gaskins, who was fleeing in a stolen vehicle. Already wanted on multiple warrants, Gaskins made the worst possible choice: to run, driving himself deeper into a mistake with no way out. At the gas station, the suspect's car swerved out of control and was repeatedly hit by officers from multiple directions, turning sideways and blocking the vehicle in reverse. However, the driver stubbornly continued to drive forward. It was not until the decisive piety from an officer that the car was thrown off course, crashing straight into an electric pole, completely dented, ending any chance of escape.
Please turn off the vehicle and put your hands on the steering.
Matthew Gaskins was arrested and faces multiple charges, including intentional assault, theft, receiving stolen property fraud, and is under investigation in several different jurisdictions.
Point at your chest.
16/8/2020, North London. Responding to a disturbance, Officer Alexander was robbed of his taser, attacked with a pen in his face and neck. That was the beginning of the nightmare.
Take taser! Take taser! Get down! Get down! Take the taser! More units! More units! More units!
Luckily, other officers arrived just in time to rescue their female colleague and rushed her to the hospital. Though she survived, she was left with permanent scars on her face and neck due to the severity of the injuries. The suspect, Adrian Popa, 40, was initially charged with attempted murder but was ultimately sentenced to just 46 months in prison, including 3 years and 10 months for making threats to kill and 15 months for assault, to be served concurrently. On the afternoon of June 27, 2023, in Pineluff, Arkansas, a 911 call reported a silver Lincoln MKZ hybrid speeding down I-530, prompting police into a high-stakes pursuit near mile marker 30, where the vehicle's speed was initially estimated at 100 mph.
Let me around car.
Let me see your hand! Let me see your hand! Let me see your hand! Get out the car! Hands! 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 Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Casey Register recklessly pushed his speed to nearly 120 mph, weaving wildly through traffic. But right on the bridge, a precise pit maneuver sent the hybrid crashing into the guardrail. The pursuit came to an end, and the suspect was arrested, now facing multiple charges: fleeing, reckless driving, traffic violations, and marijuana possession.
Got me covered? Yeah, cool.
On June 30th, 2020, at Old Fourth Ward Skate Park in Atlanta, police spotted Nickel Fona, 21, a suspect in a fatal shooting that occurred 2 days earlier. The moment he saw the officers, Fona took off running. However, the officer was too far from his patrol car to immediately pursue and had to quickly devise another plan to avoid losing the suspect's trail.
Hey, let me borrow your bike, man. Let me borrow your bike.
I'm gonna keep my bag.
I got you. Go for it.
Okay.
You just make a left?
Undeterred, the officer quickly borrowed a bicycle from a passerby to continue the chase. Ironically, the suspect was also fleeing on a bike, heading toward Ponce City Market. Without hesitation, the officer called for backup.
Hey, I got him inside. You're going on the Ponce City Market right now. You're going to the Ponce City Market. Radio, we got it.
Thanks to relentless efforts by the police, Nicholas Fonseca was arrested and is currently being held at the Fulton County Jail on charges of murder and possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. The victim in the shooting was 37-year-old Andrew Scott Callahan, who died after being shot multiple times.